everyone, it's Meg. Welcome to a new video. Today we are filming one of my favourite videos that I get to film all year, which is talking about my favourite books that I read throughout the past year. So these are my favourite books I read throughout 2025, and 2025 was a really good reading year for me. I read like about 86 books, which is insane to me. That's the most books I've ever read. And mind you, half of that is manga, so obviously that's a little bit quicker to read because obviously it's shorter. But you know, I still read about 86 books, or about 87 actually, because one of the books that I read wasn't on like Goodreads and Fable. But yeah, I had a really good reading year. I read obviously lots of manga. I really got into my element after like really starting to get into manga in the 2024. I've read some really like stunning like fiction books. I have started to get back into audiobooks. Yeah, I had a good year, you know. I had a good reading year. Usually nothing was less than a 3-star either, which was good, you know. That's good to me. I'm kind of debating. I have 9 definite books on this list. I wanted to make it 10. I think this happened last year. I always am like about 9. I'm always about 1 or 2 short off a list of 10. So I'm kind of going to do like a complimentary kind of 10, because it's between 2 books. I don't know if I would definitely put them as number 10, but they could be like honorary number 10s. These books aren't in any particular order. However, I would say I do have a top 5, which again are in no particular order, but they are my top 5 compared to the like other like 4 and honorary 10th book on this list. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to talking to you guys about these books, because I don't think I've talked about these like all of these books on my channel, so it's really going to be nice to like, you know, gush about them and all that sort of thing. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So firstly, let's talk about my honorary like joint 10th books that, like I said, I don't know if I would officially count them as favourites of the year, but I really enjoyed them. And you know, I'm allowed to make my own rules up when it comes to my top like 10 list book of the year. So I feel like my honorary number 10 is either between Fake Fat Lips Break, which is the sequel to Fake Fat Lips, or The Dangerous Convenience Store, specifically the last volume. I think that's volume 6. Firstly, with Fake Fat Lips, I read this. I read the first volume online. It was really fun, enjoyed it, and then I ended up picking up the physical volume of the like omnibus, like second book in the series, because you couldn't read all of it online. And it's nice to read manga online sometimes, because obviously it means I don't have to buy it, and then if I really like it I can buy the physical versions. But I really enjoyed the first one. However, I love this even more. This is about our 2 main characters called Ryu and Zen, and they are colleagues. They are like rivals working in the same company, and then in the first volume they basically have a like a challenge to see who can fall in love with the other person first, and it kind of goes from there. Spoiler alert, they end up in a relationship by the end of the book. So this second book is even better because it goes through the development of their relationship, and also their own individual struggles, and also how they're kind of coping with work and all that sort of thing. I really enjoyed the character development in this. It was really fun. I really like Ryu and Zen as well. I love them as a couple. I love them individually. I think they're just great. You know, I think they definitely show a lot more like growth and emotional depth, especially Zen. I feel like he does definitely have like the biggest challenge kind of like internally in terms of like the growth of their relationship. But yeah, it was really fun. It's thick. It's such a thick book, but I really enjoyed it. It is like a mature, like spicy manga, so if you like that, you might like this book. I do recommend it, because those sort of mangas, it's a BL, can be very hit and miss. But I do really like this one, like I said, especially the second volume. So I really enjoyed this. And then The Dangerous Convenience Store I read in December, and I didn't know what to expect. This is a manhwa specifically, and I have read some like BL manhwas before, and if they have spice in them, I'm a bit on and off, because usually there's a lot of lack of consent and kind of other things around that. So I'm not like a huge fan of them all the time. However, this one was one of the better ones, definitely. It definitely had a lot more like consent, and I preferred the relationship a lot more in this. It's kind of about our main characters whose names I cannot remember, and it's like an age gap one, so we have like a college student and this gangster guy, and they end up being neighbours. One of them works at a convenience store, and the gangster guy, you know, goes and shopping at the convenience store. Somehow they end up in a relationship, and like I said, I enjoyed this so much more than I thought I would. I really enjoyed the relationship and the development of it. There was like a good development in it, and the gangster part of the story didn't take up as much as I thought it would, which I kind of liked, because sometimes with manhwas, especially if they're like about business employees, they tend to like the business side of it, or something like, you know, a part of the plot that's going on about some drama at work tends to take over, and I can find that a bit boring sometimes, not gonna lie. But I like that it was mainly focused on the relationship and on the development of the characters separately and together, and it was actually quite a comfort manhwa to read. I think I would definitely like to reread it at some point. So yeah, like I said, I really did enjoy this one as well. Like I said, specifically the last volume, which I think is volume 6, and I read this online as well. I would consider buying the physical copies in the future, probably not anytime soon because I am limited on space, but yeah, I would definitely like to own the physical copies at some point and reread it. It was definitely a comfort to read, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, if you are looking for like a manhwa that's like a BL one, I do recommend that one. Like I said, it was fun. There was a lot more consent in terms of like the spice scenes and all that sort of thing, which I appreciated. It was not perfect, but yeah, it was definitely one of the better ones that I have read so far. Okay, now we're gonna get onto my like absolute official list, which is in, like I said, in no particular order, but like I said, top 5 are definitely my like faves. So let's start off first, and I will start with a fiction book first since we talked about some manga before. So we have A Game for Scandal by Laura Wood. It should be no surprise that one of Laura's books is on this list, and this is the third and final book in the like agency series. I don't really know what it's called. The Agency for Scandal series. It's the last one in it, and I really enjoyed this. I must admit, it's probably my least favourite book of the series, of this trilogy, but obviously I still really enjoyed it. And this follows Felicity Vane, who is Max Vane's sister, who Max Vane is the love interest in the first book of the series, and she's like a mathematician. She's so smart and she wants to go to university, but her brother's not so sure about that, and her mother wants her to come out to society now that she's 18, and she ends up somehow getting wrapped up in a Avery mission, and through that, I'm not going to tell you anymore, but you know the story spirals out from there, and the love interest is the owner of the Lucky Penny called Ash. Ash is the owner of the Lucky Penny. He has briefly, I'm pretty sure he has briefly been like featured in the previous books in the series, but he's the love interest, and I did really enjoy this. I did enjoy the romance. I loved the feminism in here as well, because there is a scene where Felicity goes to Cambridge, and this book is set in 1900, and you slowly see, this is where like the evolution of like women's education is allowed. Like women are allowed to go to university, they're allowed to attend Cambridge, but obviously there are still limitations to that, and I really enjoyed learning about that, because it's that part of the book, about that part of history I didn't know a lot about, so it was really intriguing and I really enjoyed that. Writing was fun. As you can see, I annotated it loads, so obviously loved it. yeah, I love this series so much. I'm definitely going to be rereading all of these books at some point. I have already reread the first one. Yeah, I feel like I always have to have a Laura book on these lists. I feel like that is absolutely mandatory. Next I have a manga volume, which is the Apothecary Diaries Volume 1, and I watched the Apothecary Diaries last year for the first time and I fell in love with it. I didn't think I'd like it as much as I did. I know it's a very popular anime. I think I watched it in all 2 seasons in about like a week or two. So yeah, I definitely was a little bit addicted. But I decided, because there is light novels and also manga for this series, but I thought I would go for the manga for the moment, and then if I want to in the future I could pick up the light novels. But I love Mao Mao as a character. I think she's just one of the best characters ever written, period, and I think a lot of people can agree with me on that. And I just love, like, obviously it's about Mao Mao, and she is basically been kidnapped and to work at the palace, and then Jinshi, who is the main character on the back, finds out she's an apothecary and she can write, so she's basically meant to like help out the court and like solve little mysteries and all that sort of thing. It's just so fun. I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed this first volume. I love the illustrations in here. I love like the humour. I love Jinshi and Mao Mao's relationship. It's just so funny. I will definitely be continuing with this series. I'm not sure how many volumes there are out at the moment, but I'm really looking forward to carry on with this. This was just so much fun. Next we have quite a late addition to this list, which is Nana Volume 1. I read this in December, and I know Nana is such a well-loved series. I know so many people love it. It was the 25th anniversary for this series last year, and I wanted to give it a go. I wanted to see what it was like, and I tried it, and I'd like to say I really enjoyed it. So from what I gather, this is about 2 women named Nana, and I'm assuming in this next volume they're going to meet, because like the first half of the volume is about one of the Nanas and the other one is about the other Nana, and it's about, I guess, the trials and tribulations of like growing up, of living in Tokyo. It's about romantic relationships, friendships, careers, all that sort of thing. And it's obviously, it's set in the 90s. Is it 90s? I think it's set in the 90s. I think it is. I think it's set in the 90s. And it's just, it's a bit grungy. It's very realistic. I really enjoy the art style, actually. The art style's quite different. I guess it's quite retro in that term, because obviously this is quite like an older manga, but yeah, I really enjoyed this first volume so far, and again I will definitely be carrying on with this series, and I hope I enjoy it and continue to love it as much as everybody else has, because like I said, I know this has, you know, lots of people who absolutely adore this series, so I would really love to be one of those people who adore it as well. And then the last book that I have before we get to my top 5 is My Friends by Frederick Backman, and this is my first Frederick Backman book. I don't really have any interest in reading any of his other books, but this appealed to me so much. I'm sure you guys have heard people talk about this book. I'm sure it's on many people's favourite books of 2025 lists, and I really enjoyed it. It was quite different to what I thought it was going to be. I don't know why. It was a lot like grittier and more emotional than I thought it would be. I don't know why I wouldn't think that, but I did. But nonetheless I still enjoyed it, and the writing is stunning. Like, Frederick Backman's writing is absolutely beautiful. I also annotated this quite a lot, and this is about, obviously the main plot of this is about friendship, found family, and also about art, and it's just so beautiful. Honestly, this is a really stunning book. I think it absolutely lives up to the hype. Again, this was one of my pre-orders from last year and I adored it. I highly recommend if you want to pick this up, and I really, like I said, I loved everything about it. I love the characters, I love like their relationships with one another, and the story definitely takes you in like an emotional roller coaster, because it went in a direction that it takes you in one direction and you think it's going to go, and then it swerves in the other direction. which is, like I said, very emotional rollercoaster-esque. So I really, really enjoyed this. And I'm intrigued to see what Frederick Backman comes out with in the future, because, like I said, I'm not super intrigued in his other books. However, I absolutely adore this, and I will definitely keep an eye out in the future for his other releases. Okay, now we're on to my top 5, and these aren't really in a particular order. I love all of these books a lot, so let's get into it. So at number 5-ish, we have Cherry Magic, 30 Years of Virginity Can Make You a Wizard. I spoke about this series because there's a new volume coming out this year in my anticipated releases video, which I will link in the description if you want to go and check that out. But I have watched the anime for this about 3 times, and I am up to date currently with all of the volumes. This is such a sweet story. It's so wholesome. It's basically, if you don't know, about our main character Adachi, and when he turns 30, he gets the magical power of being able to read minds because he is a virgin when he is 30. And through this magical power, he finds out that one of his colleagues, Kurosawa, is in love with him. And the story goes off from there. I feel like it's quite obvious what happens in the story, but I enjoyed it so much. I love the character development, I love the characters individually together, I love the story, I love that this series continued after Adachi, spoiler alert, lost his magical powers. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. It's just a really cute, soft romance book. Again, it's a BL, but I just adore it. It's so sweet and wholesome. And I feel like a lot of people who read manga have probably heard of this, but I do recommend it. I think it is definitely one of the best BL out there that I have at least read thus far. Next up we have My Name is Mame by Jessica George, and I was completely swept away by this book. I was not expecting to enjoy it as much as I did, and I am so glad that I did. This is about our main character named Maddie Wright, and she is 25, she works and lives in London, and she is the carer for her dad who has early onset Parkinson's disease. And this is basically like a coming of age story for Maddie, and obviously like working and then also looking after her dad takes up, you know, most of her time and her life. And then one day her mum comes back from Jamaica and says to Maddie that basically she's allowed to go and live her life a little bit. Maddie's mum will look after her dad. So she gets to go and live in a flat with roommates for the first time. She gets to experience romantic relationships for the first time, forming new friendships, dealing with conflict at work and changing jobs and mental health. And it's so beautiful and hard-hitting and also very relatable for so many people. I love Maddie so much. I think she is such a great character. I love her character development, and I love that where the book leaves. It's not tied everything up, because even though I don't like open endings, but it's tied up enough for this story to be realistic. And yeah, I think so much of this is about being realistic, and it's about Maddie discovering more about herself, what she likes and what she doesn't like, where she wants to be and what she wants to do in the world, and obviously it's a lot about complicated family relationships as well, and obviously being a carer for a family member. It's such a stunning book. I feel like this is very underrated, so I really recommend this book. This is one of the ones I would recommend the most, and I will continue to talk about it. It's just so beautiful, and I'm really intrigued to see what this author comes out with in the future, because I will definitely be keeping my eye out. Next book in this top 5 is The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. I got this from the little bookshelf I have at work, and I heard people talking about this book for ages. When it first came out, this book blew up. Everybody was reading it, everybody was loving it. I was never intrigued though. I never had the pull to read it. But since this was on a second-hand bookshelf, I decided to give it a go. this was such a pleasant surprise, this book. I'm besotted with it. I'm actually reading the sequel for this, Somewhere Beyond the Sea, right now. Very much enjoying it. I'm sure most people will have an idea of what this book is about, but if you don't, it's about our main character, Linus Baker, and he basically works for this Department of Magical Youth, and he's like an inspector for the Department of Magical Youth, and he goes to this island where supposedly 6 dangerous children live, and their guardian, Arthur, who lives there and looks after them. And obviously when Linus gets there, he's trying to do his job, but then he realises what a wonderful, everything is not as it seems, as it has been played out to be about them. They're actually, the children are just children. They may be slightly different to everybody else, but they're still children, and they are, a lot nicer and kinder, and it's just kind of about that, about their relationship whilst he is doing his report of this orphanage. And I just fell in love. I love the writing, I love the characters. The found family is so beautiful in this. The stakes are quite low in here. They're definitely a lot higher in the sequel that I'm reading now. Like the villain in the sequel is like Fee needs to turn her into a tree or something. Like, she's just not a nice person at all. But yeah, it's so beautiful. It's kind of slightly philosophical as well, like both of the books in the series are. But yeah, I just adore it so much. It's such a beautiful, like, comfort read, like I said, about like found family, like love in all its many, many ways. And yeah, I just absolutely adored it, and I'm really hoping that I'm going to love the sequel just as much. I am really enjoying it. Like I said, it is on the way to be a 5-star read, but I actually absolutely adore this, and I'm so glad that I decided to pick it up. So we're on to the last 2 books now, and one of those is Making It by Laura Kay, and I've read the majority of Laura's books. I've enjoyed all of them. However, this is definitely my favourite. I love this book so much. This book has so many elements that like key elements that I love in books, like themes. Like, it has mental health, friendships, and like found family. It has art in it, queer representation. There's so much to like. And this is basically about our main character called Izzy, and she ends up getting a job offer to work for an artist in London. So she moves to London, moves into a flat with her other roommates, and it's basically, again, like My Name's Marmee, it's kind of like a coming of age story, because Izzy has struggled a lot with her mental health, and she's kind of had like a bit of a bubble at home living with her mum. So this is her getting to like explore the wider world for the first time, try new things, grow as a person, and I just adored this book so much. I love the writing. Laura has great wit. I love how she creates characters. I love the relationships between the characters, and like the found family in the friendship groups, and the Izzy's development as well. I just adore it so much. This is probably one I will most likely reread at some point in the future, and I really love the mental health representation as well, because it's very realistic. It's doesn't like, sugarcoat anything, and it also shows how Izzy deals with it. Like, even though, she has dealt a lot with her mental health in the past, and still is to a certain extent, it shows how she is still carrying on through life. She's still living her life. Even if it's like on her own level, despite, like I said, dealing with her mental health. So yeah, I really love this book so much. I really recommend it. I feel like, again, I don't hear many people talk about Laura Kay's work, and I feel like you definitely should. You definitely should. I feel like you cannot be disappointed. And the last book that I have on my list is Watermoon by Samantha Soto Yambao. This was one of my first reads of last year and I loved it so much. This is a Japanese fantasy and you should all know I'm not a fantasy person. However, I love this. The writing is beautiful. The world was like enchanting and magical. And it's very Studio Ghibli-esque, this book, which I like loved. This book is basically about a magical ramen shop, and you can only enter there if you have something that you need to get rid of, and it's set like partly in the real world but also mainly in this magical world. I'm not going to say much more than that, to be honest with you. I feel like you need to experience this book for yourself, but I loved it. I felt like no word was wasted. I felt like the plot, like, you know, everything fitted in the plot. The world building was stunning. I love the depth of the world building as well, because on the surface this magical world is, like I said, whimsical and beautiful, but it has quite a darker, like grittier depth to it as well. Like, it's not all as it seems on the surface, and I really love that. And I love like the relationship between our two main characters as well, and yeah, I just loved everything about it. It was so stunning, and I'm really looking forward to this author's second book. I think it's called The Elsewhere Express, which is going to be coming out this month in January. I'm so looking forward to reading that. I hope I love it as much as this, because this was just chef's kiss. This is like the closest I could get to a perfect book in terms of, like, you know, every aspect of a book. It was so, like, stunning. I loved it, like, wholeheartedly. So those are my favourite books that I read in 2025. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's just so nice to like get back into filming and like gush about books that I loved reading last year. Like I said, it was a really great reading year in terms of how many books I read, even though that doesn't actually matter. But also like the quality of the books that I read for the most part were really good, and I'm really pleased about that. So I'm hoping 2026 is going to be even more of a stunning reading year. I'm looking forward. I have already finished my first read of this year. It was really stunning. Reading another stunning book. Yeah, I think we've got lots of good reading to look forward to this year, I think. And I hope that you guys have some stunning books that you read last year. Let me know in the comments your favourite books of 2025. Let me know if any of them are these books that I talked about. I would love to chat to you guys about them in the comments down below. And here is to a great reading year for all of us, and I hope you read lots of good books, and I hope that maybe you find some new favourites, discover some new authors, and that we can just, you know, continue supporting some great authors, reading, expanding our minds, all of that kind of philosophical stuff. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you have not already. Also, forgot to mention this in my last video, but if you got to this part of the video and you don't know what to comment, comment the like open book emoji, or the book stack emoji, so I know that you got to this part of the video. I love doing that. I love seeing where you guys kind of get up to in these videos. So yeah, just wanted to put that in. But yes, if you would like to see more bookish content from my channel, you can check out my Instagram and Goodreads, and also my Fable, which I keep forgetting to link. I will eventually link in my description down below, so you can follow me on all of those. But thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you so much, and I will see you again very soon. Bye guys!